Welcome into the Skinny Podcast. It's the weekly potpourri edition. I'm Richard Skinner, local12.com digital sports columnist and editor. Along with Rick Broering, as always, it's presented by Blake, the attorney Maislin. We got some college basketball to get to, some college football playoffs to get to, maybe an issue taking place in Michigan to get to that doesn't involve, but it does factor a former local coach into the mix as well. We've got some Bengals to talk about, including a broken, and I do mean broken, Joe Burrow. And much, much more. We got a gambling segment. We got a lot to get to, as always, on this podcast. And the Reds, of course, dangling Kyle Schwarber in front of our faces like we really believed it. A lot to get to, Rick.
Yeah, I don't know if we have all of the things that you just mentioned on our rundown here. We'll try to get to all of those things. We'll start with the Bengals game. They lose the Bills 39-34. Still not mathematically eliminated. Think it's pretty comfortable to say they're more than likely done at this point. But, Skinny, that's not even the story this week. The story is Joe Burrow meeting with the media this week and his comments made there where, I mean, I don't know how, if you're a Cincinnati fan, that you don't feel like that was the beginning of an Andrew Luck type ending to Joe Burrow's career.
Yeah, so a bunch of us didn't go to his press conference. We went in the locker room to talk to Shamar Stewart and some other people because usually you don't get a whole lot out of a Joe Burrow press conference. And I'm standing with one of the media relations people, and she looks at me, she goes, uh-oh. I go, what do you mean, uh-oh? She said, I just got a note that said this thing just got weird. I'm like, oh. And so, you wind up hearing what his comments were, that, football's not fun right now. He was asked, dealing with it, stuff on the field and off the field, all of the above. This comes out on the heels of his post-game press conference Sunday, which I thought was very odd. The Joe Burrow that I've come to know and the public has come to know is a competitive, fiery, can't stand to lose, grit my teeth Joe Burrow. He used the term, that's the way the cookie crumbles, twice. Like, I did what I could do. I can't. It's almost like he realizes I've dragged this organization as far as I can drag it. I can't drag it any further. And if they're not willing to drag it with me, then I don't know what else to do. And I think that spilled over into yesterday. Like, he looked and sounded broken and defeated.
Skinny, it was bizarre to watch back. I mean, you've got people saying, are you talking about football stuff? Are you talking about personal stuff? And he's like, there's a lot going on, both personally, football wise. Mentioned that it's still fun to win, but overall it's not the same the way it used to be for him. It was a very strange press conference. It very much sounded like a guy who was contemplating whether or not he even wanted to play football going forward, or if he had made enough money and wanted to focus on other interests.
I mean, I was talking to some people this morning. It almost feels like he's one more catastrophic injury away from saying that's enough. And it does go back to the Andrew Luck factor. Andrew Luck just said, I'm just tired of rehabbing, coming back, getting hurt, surgery, rehabbing, coming back, there was still a lot of football life in Andrew Luck, obviously. He could have played, hell, for all I know, he could still be playing today. But he chose to say, I'm not doing this any longer. And after you hear Joe Burrow yesterday, that feels like it's the position he's in. Like, I think part of it too is he got another firsthand glimpse of, I got us 30 points. Yeah, did I make a bad throw on the pick six and the guy make a great play? Sure. I think he can be allowed to do that every once in a while. He's human. He's going to make a mistake, and the other team's going to make a play. And he still got you 34 points, and you still lost. And I think at some point you're like, what else can I do? I've gotten us in the 30s a bunch. Joe Flacco got us in the 30s and we lost. Joe Flacco got us in the 40s and we lost. Front office, do something to help me here.
Can I just throw one comment into this that I love Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is great.
He's a weirdo.
Amazing to watch. And I completely understand why he would be frustrated with this organization and understand that he might be coming to a weird point in his career, all of that stuff. That seems reasonable to me. I'm not like flipping out because he's come to this conclusion. I do think it's weird timing for him when he essentially lost that game at the end. Like, it wasn't the defense can't let Josh Allen run for 15 yards on a third down, but you threw back-to-back interceptions, my man, also. You were a big part of the reason that you lost that game as well. It's weird for you to start crying like in that post-game press conference and at the next media event.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you there. I mean, at 28-18, you can't let them go on a 1-minute touchdown drive. I mean, that got them right back in the game like that.
I don't disagree, but again, this guy who's supposed to be like above it all and the great leader and everything, to then be like, well, I don't know if I like this stuff anymore when you were part of the problem. I mean, you got 34 points, man. That offense scored 34 points. Sure, if you
and
don't throw back-to-back interceptions, you keep that lead.
Yeah, okay. I'm not going to go there. I disagree with that, but that's fine. Listen. I mean, if this was a one-off, I'd agree with you. This is not a one-off. This has been the theme of the last couple of years of you can get in the 30s and you still can't win games, and to get the 30s in the NFL is really, really hard.
No, like I said, I'm on board with everything that's happening here. I get why he's frustrated. I think this is a weird time to do this. Like any of the other games where this has happened, sure. This one where you were culpable too was, I think, kind of weird to kind of be a crybaby about it.
Well, I just think he sees the forest for the trees of I can only do so much, and we can't win because this defense has been crap, and there's nothing that's been done about it. And honestly, if you as a player, if you look around and go, gosh, they keep bringing these cats in and they can't play, somebody's got to pay the price for this, and nobody does. I think that's part of the problem. There's little to no accountability in that organization.
Totally agree.
So then you're at the part of going, I can't. What else can I do? What else can we? And that makes it no fun. Like I can only do so much, and we still lose. And I keep getting hurt and keep coming back from the hurts, and we still lose. And I think at that point you go, this just isn't fun anymore for me. And I never would have thought it would have come this quickly for Joe Burrow, just watching how his career has evolved. But it's come to that point. I think the one thing we can agree on, it's come to that point, whether, how he got there or not, or whether he's culpable for something or not. He's gotten to that point, and my fear would be any other catastrophic injury, he just goes, I'm good.
Oh, Skinny, if that's your fear, I feel pretty good about it. Like if he's going to hang on until he has another catastrophic injury, I feel much more confident than the way I feel right now about where he's at. Because I feel like we could go in this offseason and Joe Burrow just doesn't come back next season. That's the way I took that.
Yeah, I don't think that. I don't. And maybe I'm reading the room wrong in that regard, and maybe you're reading it right. I don't foresee that.
I mean, I'm not predicting it or anything, but it felt like it might be that precarious in terms of where he's at and where this whole thing is at for the Bengals.
The other thing I wonder, and I'm just wondering because it was his birthday yesterday, he turned 29. You're a year away from a landmark birthday. I never thought much about 30, and I'm well past that. I don't really have any landmark birthdays anymore, and I really never thought of anything as a. But it's one of your landmark birthdays, right? And then you start looking and going, gosh, then I'm in my 30s and I'm still going to be dealing with this crap. No, thank you. And I just wonder if that's when it hit him hard. Like I just turned 29 today. Man, 30's coming fast, and I don't have a ton of football left in me. Probably. It might be 5 years, whatever, 7, maybe 1. That it just hit him like a ton of bricks. Like, gosh, I'm at this stage, and we haven't done anything the last 3 seasons.
I think that's highly probable. But here's the thing that always cracks me up when you step back and think about this for a second. I know these guys have the money that they can think this way and they can go do whatever they want. But when I hear these comments, I do think like, what do you think the real world is like for the rest of us, my man? Like we don't all get to go to work and win every day and love our job and it be super fun. Like some of work is just showing up every day and collecting your paycheck and making a ton of money. You guys are getting paid better than anybody to do your job. Like I get that it's frustrating. I get that part of the fun is winning in this, but part of being a grown-up and having a job is it's not always fun. You sometimes just have to show up and clock in and get your paycheck. So while you have enough money, if you're Joe Burrow, to say, I don't want to do that anymore, I also think if you listen to a guy like Andrew Luck talk, he's kind of backtracked on his decision over the years a little bit and thought, you know what? There's part of me that wishes maybe I did play football a little longer. Maybe I wish I was still playing football a little bit. So I feel very much like if Joe Burrow were to walk away from this stuff before he was actually done, he would regret that decision.
Probably. And I think, if this season plays out where they do win games down the stretch and you feel like, okay, let's get the band back together, make some improvements off season, make another run at this next year. I think there's always something refreshing about season's over. Take a deep breath, kind of just let the season wash away. And then you start to look ahead to the next year. But I think right now you're in that grind of, I just came back from this. I busted my ass to come back from this. I came back early from this. And I still can't do enough to win games.
Also, just going back to the Andrew Luck thing, I mean, he went to Stanford, and I believe, wasn't he like pre-med at one point or something? When he like on a track to be a doctor or a scientist or something? I mean, like Joe Burrow went to LSU and Ohio State, and he worries about Pokemon cards in his free time. I don't know that he has the mental capacity to be as fulfilled after football as Andrew Luck was.
Yeah, I mean, but he could always go be a fashion runway model. He's done that.
fashion runway model and pokey card ripper.
Yeah, back to your one point about the everyday Joe. I get that. The only other thing I would say is I know other people have had surgeries because of different medical maladies, or you break. I mean, you're coming back from 3 major surgeries on your body at age 29, man. That's a lot. That's a lot to process, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I get that. Like, I'm not saying any of this has been fun for him or that playing for the Bengals organization is fun compared to the other organizations in the NFL. I get why he's frustrated, and I can understand some of it. I don't really understand making these comments at this time, and I really am worried about where it goes from here as a Bengals fan, because I really feel like this. It feels very much like where you expect things to go when you're a Bengals fan. Like, you have the star quarterback, and it just doesn't work out, and it becomes a Carson Palmer situation, or it becomes what have you. But he's going to leave Cincinnati in some way that isn't feel good and happy.
No, he's gotten the point of the phrase that my radio partner Tom Gamble and I used in the 90s when we were doing Bengals post-game radio. He's become Bengalized. I mean,
Bengalized.
It happens to all of them. It's the most amazing thing ever. You think, it's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen to me. And it eventually does. That's what makes this Sunday super interesting for all the reasons of A, trying to keep your season alive because you have to win to do that. B, if he plays another great game and they lose 37-34, what's the reaction going to be then? I mean, there's a lot of layers to this come Sunday, really after the game.
Did you have any thoughts on the rest of the team or the game against the Bills or what's ahead this week against the Ravens aside? I mean, to me, the Joe Burrow stuff was really just everything this week. That's the only thing that would be on my mind as a Bengals fan.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. The Trey Hendrickson season-ending surgery, okay. Boy, I'll tell you, Zach Taylor gave a weird answer to that Monday. Yesterday, I guess it was, in the press conference. Yeah, well, he's gone. Like, I've already turned the page on him anyway, so that's okay.
And that's exactly how I feel about it too. It's like, when I heard that news, I kind of forgot Trey Hendrickson was still around. And it was also the most predictable way for this season to play out. We said that as soon as they were signing that deal. It's like, he doesn't want to be here. You've got him for 1 year, basically at gunpoint. He's going to get a boo-boo and then say, I'm done for the year.
And can I just say this, is in the Bengals front office, I mean, trust me, I've been on Duke Tobin's ass from Jump Street. But can we, those of you who probably listen to podcasts over the time and are Bengals fans and yelled at me when I said they shouldn't try to sign Trey Hendrickson to the long-term extension and to guaranteed money, now what do you say? They made the right decision.
Right. I mean, it was pretty simple. It was almost worse that they kept him for this year, because this is exactly how it was always going to play out. He was going to AJ Green it.
Yeah, lame duck year. Now again, he's having surgery, so obviously there's something physically wrong there.
Yeah, but I mean, that was always it could have been a turned ankle and he would have been out for the year at some point, I think. I just think that's the way it was always going to go with him. He was going to protect himself first and foremost, and you don't go through an NFL season as a defensive end, especially one like Trey Hendrickson, and not end up with some type of injury.
And that's where I go back to, for whatever reason, you get over 30 in this league, and when things happen, they just don't go well from that point forward. And maybe that's Joe Burrow looking and going, I'm approaching that milestone.
Things already haven't gone well for him from a health standpoint. And we'll talk more about how much you should pay superstars over 30 here in a little bit, maybe when we talk about the Reds. Let's talk some college football, though. Ohio State loses to Indiana 13-10 in the Big Ten Championship. Fun game to watch. I thought the big winner from this game was Charlie Becker from Indiana, the wide receiver. I know he's not even draft eligible yet, but he's going to make himself some serious money this offseason in the transfer portal based on just that game after Indiana lost its star receiver. From a narrative standpoint, though, Skinny, I think Indiana winning this game is much more interesting than Ohio State winning it. Do you agree with that, one? And two, do you still feel like Ohio State is the favorite to win it all? I
do. I don't think they needed a wake-up call. This wasn't a wake-up call. This is maybe everybody now going, damn, Indiana is for real. Because, you've seen them win those games 56-7, right? 54-10. And you always look at the 54 side of it and go, yeah, they're just explosive offense. Wait till they see Ohio State. Well, they didn't explode offensively. They made some big plays, obviously. A couple of them to clinch the win. But, they only scored 13 points. But their defense, man, their defense has been for real all season long too, and that was the showcase there. That being said, I think Ohio State will go to school on this a little bit. They'll have a couple of different wrinkles next time around. I don't think there's anything to worry about Ohio State's defense. They gave up 13 points. I mean, that's by most every measurable standard in the sport of football, that's getting it done. And it just wasn't enough on this particular night to get it done. I think the college football playoff has a chance to have some chaos in it at some point. But for me, I think it's going to come down to those two teams for the national championship.
I agree. I don't think there's any other team in the country that can do what Indiana did to Ohio State.
Oregon's the only one that comes close to me. If Georgia plays the way it did against Bama, maybe Georgia, but I thought that was more of a Bama issue. So yeah, Oregon's the one team to me that's super interesting because they're really good defensively. They got a dual threat quarterback who's really good. They got receivers. They can run it. They've got a little bit of everything, and yet their losses at home to Indiana.
That Indiana defensive front reminded me of Michigan's last year against Ohio State. I mean, they just worked the front of the offensive line and really the middle of that offensive line of Ohio State. They just kept busting right through there and kind of killing the running game. And I mean, I don't know. Honestly, there are some play calling issues with Ohio State that felt very much like the things fans were complaining about last year before they went on this run where they won every game since then. But if you go back to that, like Michigan lost last year where fans were losing their mind and wanted Ryan Day fired, you saw some of those same things creep back up in this one, like the decision to kick the field goal on 4th and 1 with the game on the line. I think every Ohio State fan feels in that moment, we're Ohio State. We just pick up that yard and we win the game right there. And instead they missed the 27-yard field goal. That was one obvious call, but there were probably 3 or 4 others in big moments throughout that game where fans weren't going to be happy with Ryan Day's decision-making. So the FanDuel odds sit currently Ohio State plus 200 to win it all, Indiana plus 300 to win it all. Any thoughts on where those odds sit right now? By the way, Oregon is plus 800. I know you mentioned them.
Yeah, I would probably, if you gave me $50, I'd probably put 40 on Ohio State and 10 on Oregon.
Yeah, that feels about right too. I still think Ohio State, honestly, is the overwhelming favorite to win it all. I think what Indiana beating them did to me, in my mind, is it opened up the possibility that, okay, this Ohio State team could possibly actually lose to a college football team. Because there was a point in the season where I didn't know if that was even possible.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I got to give Kurt Cignetti this, man. Dude talks the talk, and he sure walks the walk, doesn't he?
He's unbelievable. I mean, I'm sure we'll find out some crazy skeletons in his closet at some point down the line in years to come. But like right now, that dude can almost do no wrong.
Yeah.
If you're an Indiana fan, I can't imagine having a guy like that leading your football program after all the years of turmoil that you've gone through on the gridiron.
Yeah, for sure. That game I thought lived up to the hype. Like,
oh, it was great.
Sometimes it just doesn't, right? But that one did.
It was fun to watch.
I mean, for me, Saturday I was so excited about Saturday, man. Like, it was just me and the dog in the house. It was one of those days where you just want to lay around and do nothing. I got some stuff out of the way in the morning. Felt really good about I earned a day to just sit there and watch. And the early games weren't all that great. The Alabama game wasn't all that great. I have a hard time getting into college basketball at the moment that's non-local teams. And there were some good games, actually. The noon window had a couple of really good games on Saturday, including Iowa State, Purdue. And I just couldn't. And so it felt like a whole letdown. Made some dinner. And I'm like, yeah, I'll watch probably the first half of this game, and it probably won't be much fun. And then it was great.
Yeah, it was enjoyable to watch. Gus Johnson, he's past his prime. He does not have his fastball anymore. And I've heard some really bad broadcasts from him in the last few years. I thought this was the best he sounded in a while. I know some people will still criticize him, but at least he sounded like his voice was there and he was in the moment and present again.
Yeah, the Penn State the Indiana touchdown at Penn State where his voice just went haywire. I honestly just think that came at a point of a broadcast where your voice does get tired, and maybe he was a little sick going in, and that factored in because that thing was that was one of the worst calls ever. Yeah,
I just feel like he had gotten to a point where maybe he was getting a little bit disinterested with a lot of the stuff he was calling because he seemed like he was just less present and didn't care about a lot of the games. At least for this one, it was a big game. He was excited to call it seemed like. So he was definitely in the moment, but there are still plenty of people that don't like Gus. But I thought overall it was a very enjoyable game to watch. Let's get into our pick'em. You were 2-2. I was 2-2. So you're at 46-48 now. I'm at 51-45. Duke beat Virginia 27-20, so your best bet missed. Ohio State lost, so my best bet also failed. And that brings us to the one game that we have to pick this week. That is the Bengals hosting the Ravens Sunday at 1. The Ravens are a 2.5-point favorite. The total is 51.5.
The Ravens look broken. While Joe Burrow sounds broken, the Ravens look broken. I had every expectation they were going to put a knockout punch to the Steelers, and now instead it's the Ravens fighting for their lives coming here to Paycor Stadium. I think T. Higgins is trending towards playing. I'm a little surprised by that, being in concussion protocol 2 times in the last 3 weeks. But, some of it was on Sunday night, Monday. He had symptoms. Didn't mean he had a full-blown concussion. And, again, there's no such thing as a slight concussion. You're either concussed or you're not. Now, obviously, some are worse than others. Some may take longer to come back from. The fact that he practiced on Wednesday, which was a light practice, is a step in the right direction. That's kind of the steps towards getting out of protocol is you do some light stuff, then you ramp up the physicality of your exercise or practice routine. I'm going to guess we're doing this on Thursday morning. I'm going to guess he's going to be limited again today, but if he's full today, he's clearly going to play on Sunday. They won in Baltimore without T. I think the Bengals, their backs against the wall. They were against the wall in Buffalo, and honestly, they played winning football for the most part. Maybe not always defensively, but they stood toe-to-toe with the Bills, and really 3 plays, the long touchdown, 4 plays, the long touchdown run by Josh Allen, the pick 6, the interception on the next play, and then the 3rd and 15 run. The Bengals were every bit as good as Buffalo and should have beaten Buffalo, in my opinion. So I think with their backs against the wall, they do beat a broken Baltimore team. I'll go Bengals 30, Ravens 23.
Bengals 30, Ravens 23 puts you at Bengals and the over there. I actually agree with you that the Bengals win this game. I mean, this is the most Bengals thing possible. You break everyone's hearts last week, make everyone feel like it's over with the loss to the Bills, and then you come back and you beat the Ravens at home. That's par for the course. I'm going to go 24-21, Bengals and the under for me. Skinny, do you have a favorite bet for this week?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the NFL teaser well, all at 1 o'clock. Hang on 1 second. All right, here we go. 6.5-point teaser. Teasing the Bears down to -1 at home against Cleveland. Teasing the Bengals up to +9 at home against Baltimore. Teasing Houston down to -3 at home against Arizona. I'm not going to do Jacksonville. That would put me on a bad number. Teasing New England up to +8 at home against Buffalo.
I like that one.
And teasing the New York Football Giants to +4 at home against Washington. 2 awful teams. I'll go with the home field. It feels like that's a field goal game. That's probably the one dicey one of the mix. I was thinking of teasing Kansas City down to a pick'em basically at home against the Chargers. But after that Texans game, I'm not sure I can trust them against.
I kind of like that Chiefs one too, but I understand the reservations there. So we've got a 5-team teaser as Skinny's favorite bet of the week. We've got Bears -1, Bengals +9, Texans -3, Patriots +8, Giants +4. I love the Bengals and the Patriots +9 and +8. I love both of those picks, so I might play those two together. I've got no favorite bet of the week. I'll be honest with you. We're down to just NFL games, and you don't want my picks there.
Yeah, so actually, we do have a bowl game Saturday. We have Boise and Washington are playing in a bowl game.
True, and I do not have a pick on that either.
And listen, the snow's coming. I hope it comes to the point where I can get up early enough on Saturday and shovel a good chunk of it out. Because, man, my favorite game of the year, I know I'm a sap for this, Army-Navy, man. I just love everything about Army-Navy. I cannot miss Army-Navy.
Well, there you go. Coming this weekend to a TV
Absolutely.
Near you. Will you be able to sit down and watch that one?
Yep, that's what I'm saying. I want to get the snow shoveled off, hunker down inside my house, and call it a Saturday and just watch that. I'll watch that, and then I'll dive into my misery when Kentucky tips off with Indiana in basketball at 7:30 that night.
That's a perfect segue into our college basketball segment, and we'll talk about Kentucky in a second, but first we got to start with the crosstown shootout here in town. Xavier beats UC 79-74. I feel like I've talked about this 17 times since the game ended already, Skinny, so I want to get your take. What Xavier and Trey Carroll show you with this win?
That he's got some man-child in him. I mean, it was baby Barkley, right? We ran Barkley sets for him. I mean, that's what it looked like. At some point you are allowed to go run a double at that guy. If you can't keep him from getting to the rim, you are allowed to maybe run a double at him at some point.
What did you think of Wes's comments that they couldn't run a double because they just hadn't worked on it yet?
Okay, there's no way that's possible. With all the practice time you've gotten in college basketball, even going back to probably off-season workouts. I mean, those are usually individual stuff, right? But so when you hit the ground running in October, that's got to be at least the point of emphasis, at least for one period, maybe a week, of put aside 8 minutes of, okay, this happens, we're going to double down from here against this guy. We're gonna front and double from behind. You tell me you didn't work on that? What a freaking indictment!
That's amazing. I mean, you've got endless amounts of time, way too much time for when these guys arrive in the summer until you actually play a game. You can go over literally every scenario possible in that amount of time, and yet you choose not to even look at something as simple as doubling down when the ball goes into the post. Like, you don't think there might be an occasion this year where you face a post player who's playing well enough that you might want to go double and get the ball out of his hands?
And Rick, I would say probably if I even put a scouting report together for that game, I wouldn't have included a double team initially. Like, it wouldn't have been on the scouting report. But as the game progressed, it would have been, okay, here's the adjustment. We need to go double this cat.
And let's just say you didn't work on it, okay? Here's what drives me way more crazy. That coaches think this stuff is so precious that
Correct.
guys who have been playing basketball for 20 plus years of their lives, that are 21, 22, and 23 years old now, for the most part in college basketball, there ain't a lot of young guys anymore. They're almost all over 20. So all of these guys that are adults that have been playing basketball their entire lives can't possibly understand the concept of, if I'm the closest man to the ball, I'm going to double down on it and force him to give it up and then recover.
Yes,
like, that's such a startling concept to them that they would completely throw everything else out of whack. And by the way, West switched to a zone defense. So I don't understand, if you're willing to switch to the zone, how you couldn't also double out of the zone or use a double team with your man-to-man if you're willing to get out of it. It makes zero sense whatsoever.
But he also said we're a good basketball team. We proved that tonight. We're a good basketball team.
I mean, see, what do you make of those when a coach is in the position that he's in? He comes out and he says, "This game proved why we're going to be a good basketball team, and we can't double down on the post." Can you think of a more embarrassing situation for a head coach?
No, I can't. If I'm a UC fan, that would frustrate the daylights out of me. I get he's probably realizes what a devastating loss this is, and he's trying to pump guys back up, maybe even himself back up, maybe even the fan base back up. But buddy, you're gonna face 2 Trey Carrolls a night in the Big 12, my guy.
Right. And the thing about it is, like, you watch the game plan for Xavier. They went right after Kerr Kriisa. They went right after Sean Abayev on the defensive end. You're ranked top 5 right now defensively, or top 10 now after this game defensively, because you've been playing bye games and because you've been playing teams that aren't familiar with you. When you get into Big 12 play, where they're even more familiar with your way of playing and your personnel than Richard Pitino and Xavier is, you don't think that they're going to have the same type of plans where they're attacking Kerr Kriisa and Sean Abayev, and now you have basically 2 starters out there that can't defend, which is what you're trying to hang your hat on? Like, this could get really ugly for them in Big 12 play, I think.
Yeah, I went down the schedule with somebody in the Bengals media room yesterday, just doing the typical loss, win. I came up with 14 and 17.
I mean, I think that's legit. After what we've seen now, I expected them to be much better than this. But after what we've seen from them in non-conference, I don't know how this is going to get better for them in Big 12 play.
I don't either, man. And you know, they can change a little of that narrative if you beat Georgia and Clemson, and I don't know if you beat either one. You got 2. I think they got 2 bye games left, and those 2 games left before you start Big 12 play. And I think I had them 2-2 there, which put them 7-5, and then I had them going 7 and whatever the heck it was in league play, 7-13 or whatever.
Yeah, they go Georgia, Alabama State, Clemson, Lipscomb before they start with Houston.
Yeah, I mean, so if you win the 2 non-bye games, maybe that gives you a little sign. And I don't think Georgia's all that good. I don't think Clemson's all that good. But you win those 2 games, at least maybe you got a little sign of life. You got maybe a little wiggle room in the Big 12. But even at that point, what's your marquee win? I mean, I don't know what that would be for them. And
right now it's Dayton.
Yeah, and what are they? I mean, I'm putting you on the spot.
69th. And
yeah, okay, so that's not even that marquee, to be quite frank, but it is something on the resume. I guess it'll wind up being, a quad 2 win? Probably.
I guess that game was that was actually at UC this year, right?
Yeah, you're right. So that's quad 2.
That's going to ding them.
And then, I mean, you would still probably have to go 500 in the Big 12 to make it, and I don't think this team's capable of that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think there's really much of a chance that they make the NCAA tournament. Something would have to completely turn around. And one, I don't see the personnel on this roster to get that done. And two, I don't trust Wes Miller to get that done at all. If anything, I think it's more likely to spiral completely the opposite direction.
So there are rumblings that Jizzle might be coming back. Is that right?
I don't think there's any possibility he's coming back. I know he did show up at a game recently, and Wes made comments afterwards that he's doing well. He's never not been enrolled in school there. So I guess in theory, he would be eligible to come back. Maybe they're looking at something like that for the second semester. I imagine as desperate as Wes is right now, he's probably looking at anything he can do.
That's why I'm thinking that possibility exists, in my opinion. Like, you're so desperate that you're willing to do this.
I mean, can you imagine any worse feeling for a locker room?
Oh,
this guy was so bad during the summer. We had to throw him off of our team. And now you think so little of us, we're going to bring that guy back in the middle of the season?
I'm with you, but
I mean, it's just a disaster for the locker room waiting to happen.
I'm with you, but I mean, this is a guy who says this is what shows we're going to be good and didn't work on double. I mean, he's a buffoon.
I think we're both in agreement that it's over for Wes Miller after this year.
Well, I mean, again, I always give benefit of the doubt of you can get better. You can go win games. I just don't know if they're capable of doing that.
Yeah. And if they don't make the tournament, I think we both agree that the way this thing is gone, like had this been they're fighting tooth and nail, they have some big non-conference wins and then they just barely are on the wrong side of the bubble. Okay, maybe you can look at it a little bit differently. The way it's trending right now, it's hard to imagine this thing is going to be enough to save him.
I don't think you can sell another year of this to the fan base if he doesn't make the tournament. There's just no way, and rightfully so. They should demand more.
So there's been names popping up already on the UC message boards, of course, and on social media. The one that I find most interesting right now is Jared Calhoun out at Utah State. He's former assistant, Bob Huggins connection there. The interesting part about him that I don't even know if UC fans all realize is he went to Youngstown. He was at Youngstown State, and he did a pretty good job there in a really difficult job. Yep. I mean, it's not an easy place to win. You have bad resources. You have a bad gym, all that stuff. And he did a good job of making them a perennial contender in the Horizon League. And his issue at Youngstown State was he could never get the defense right. The offense was great. Defense was a disaster. A few years in, he saw what NKU was doing with the matchup zone. He goes, we can't play defense. At least they're screwing people up with the matchup zone. Let's try to do that. And it was still a disaster. I mean, it was better than what they were doing before, but their matchup zone was a wreck. So when he went to Utah State, he hired NKU's associate head coach, Eric Hout. Eric Hout brought over the Willard matchup zone, the fist defense, which when NKU staff had gotten to NKU originally, Darren Horn first got there, he brought Eric Hout in as his associate head coach. The way Eric Hout learned the defense was by watching Mick Cronin's teams at Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So if you're bringing Jared Calhoun back, and I know people are a little bit worried about the defensive side of the ball, you are quite literally bringing back Mick Cronin's defense. That's what they play right now. Now they do it more of the zone as Mick would maybe match up more out of his fist stuff. But ultimately, it's the same concepts and the same defense. So if you're worried about the defense, there is reason to think, oh, Jared Calhoun has actually gotten better at that and figured that out by hiring a new associate head coach.
Yeah, I'm more worried about the offense. Hopefully that gets right, and I think it would get more right than what it is currently.
Yeah, and that's what Jared Calhoun's known for, right? Is being able to score, he's an analytical guy. The other name, if you're looking for offense, which I know UC fans would be, is Josh Surtz at St. Louis. I think he's a fantastic offensive mind. I think he's doing a good job there.
One of our assistants I coached with at Beechwood High School, he loves going around to college practices. And one of the ones he went on a little trip. He stopped by Evansville because he has a friend that coaches there. And I don't know if he has a friend at St. Louis, but somehow he got into a St. Louis practice, and he came back gushing about this dude.
Yeah, I think he's big time. And from an offensive standpoint, next to no standpoint, he's definitely as good as it gets right now in the game. So he would be a guy that would seem attainable being at St. Louis and that you might be able to steal. So I don't know. Those are the first two names that pop up. I think a lot of people are already talking about them. There will definitely be some more that continue to get added to the list as we get closer and closer to the day for Wes Miller. But it's just hard for me to see a way in which Wes Miller saves his job after this.
I mean, this was every bit the catastrophe we talked about last week that it just couldn't become for him. I think we both picked. I think I picked a 4-point win. I think you picked a 4-point win.
4-point win, yeah, for Xavier.
Yeah, I mean, I don't say we nailed it, but it just felt like because of Wes Miller, they were not going to win this game. Now, could I have predicted Trey Carroll was going off for 31? No, nobody was going to predict that. But predict that Wes would find a way to muck it up? Sure did.
I think I quite literally said I don't see a path for Xavier to win if they don't make double-digit threes. And they went 6 for 28 and 1. I mean,
that's the funny part. As I'm watching, I'm like, well, Rick's thought process was right, but they're not going to make any threes, it looks like.
Yeah, it's very strange. I mean, now, granted, the fact of the matter is they still couldn't guard Xavier's front court, and that's what gave them issues, but it was not because they were draining threes on them at all. So, yeah, just a weird game. I don't know how much it means for Xavier going forward in the Big East. I mean, it's definitely, they're way more competitive than we expected early.
Yes, I think now I can tell you that in most home games, I will agree that I think they'll be more than competitive. I don't know if they can go on the road and do much, but yeah, like the mid-level games, I just didn't think they could win at home. Now I think there's a little bit of hope that you can win those.
Yeah, I mean, there's 11 teams in the Big East. Xavier's one of them, so you've got 10 other teams. 5 of those teams are ranked 68th or lower in KenPom. And if you look at West Virginia, they were 74th, and UC was 78th when Xavier beat them. So you're talking about teams right in that range that they've already proven they've won 2 games against those teams. So if you can have a winning record against those bottom 5 teams in the conference, maybe you are middle of the pack in the Big East this year.
That would be a great accomplishment. And then what you've done in the non-league, once you kind of fix things from early in the season, good for what he's done. Listen, I was not very impressed at all early on. I thought there was no path for this team to do anything of note, and they've found a way to get things right at the moment. Not right enough to beat the upper echelon of the Big East. Maybe at home, maybe they do. You get the crowd going one night, one day, one Saturday afternoon, everybody's wound up, and you catch them on a downer for whatever reason. Maybe you do steal one of those marquee wins.
Yeah. We're to the point where that's like conceivable, where you could see this team being good enough to actually do something like that. I don't expect it out of them, but they are much more competitive than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Kentucky lost to Gonzaga 94-59. Skinny, what the hell is going on there?
So the goofy part is I expected a half-assed effort against North Carolina Central, and they're bad. Like they're 3-something. If you don't have to look. They were in the upper 3s in KenPom. They're like the dregs of the NCAA. I can't remember how many Division I teams are. Was there 367?
They are 350th out of 365.
At 365. Okay, so they're awful. So you can probably just roll out the basketball. But I could see a team that moved the ball, shared the ball, didn't look like they hated each other. The Gonzaga game, it looked like it was 5 guys that just had met at the park and gone, I'll pick him. Yeah, I guess I'll have to pick him, and I'll take him. Yeah, I'll take him. And didn't know each other, had never met, didn't really care to play for each other, didn't really care to play for themselves. I thought Otega Owe was an abject embarrassment to the point where I honestly, if I was a coach, which I am, if I'd have seen a kid give me that kind of effort, I'd call a timeout and I'd be halfway on the floor just berating his ass and saying, sit down or go to the locker room. I'm not watching this crap any longer. It was an embarrassment.
Skinny, I don't understand what happened to this guy other than he got paid a ton of money in the offseason, but he was a guy who seemed like a warrior down the stretch last year, a guy who could carry them and was all about Kentucky and winning and being competitive and all of that type of stuff.
Here's what it is to me. You got your bag of cash. You're trying to develop a more of a consistent 3-point jump shot to show the NBA you can shoot the ball, and you're trying not to get hurt. Why? Because that your goal now is me. And listen, I don't think Kentucky's going to be alone in this if you look across the landscape of college basketball with guys doing this kind of stuff. Agreed. But to me, at that point, I just say, listen, my guy, you're either going to play my way or I'm just not going to play you. And I'm going to tell NBA scouts that you're a quitter, and good luck with then getting a spot in the league.
Well, I mean, that's the problem. He's completely cratered his draft stock. I mean, last year, the reason he was rising was because of all the hard playing, the athleticism, the playmaking stuff he's doing. And now he's just so nonchalant out there and just seems like such an average piece. There's no intensity. That's to me, like you were expecting to have a player of the year type piece in Otega Owe in the SEC this year. And he is like just a guy out there. He's like a third man for any high major team right now.
Did you see, there was a bunch of them floating around of fans and film breakdown folks with clips of him in that game. It was
not like just jogging back.
I could see some of it in real time. Now, if I'm there, I could have certainly seen it more in real time. But on TV, you can only see so much of what's going on. But when you saw the breakdowns of that, it's like it looked bad to me watching in real time. It looked far worse watching it when it was just clipped of him.
Yeah, because it was multiple clips of him just completely loafing it on.
So how do you not hold him accountable for that, Rick?
Say that again?
How if you're Mark Pope, do you not hold him accountable for that?
Well, here's the issue I have with all the stuff that Mark Pope's done previously, with all the like, oh, I'm the player's coach. I'm happy to be all the rah, good mental health. We're happy to be here. All that stuff where you're the player's coach and everyone loves you and you're super nice and you're just their friend and all that. That works right up until the point that it doesn't. And then when it doesn't, you have no control over the situation whatsoever. And when you change up and you try to be the hard ass now, we talked about this last week. He starts going into these post-game press conferences. They're the worst team ever and everything's terrible. Well, guess what that looks like, my man? Like you're panicking and you don't know what you're doing because you've completely changed up from who you were previously. Yeah. And that's the issue with doing all that fake stuff beforehand. You have to be the coach all the time. You have to be the parent all the time. You can't be their friend 90% of the time. And then when things go wrong, now you turn into the parent and you're going to scold them and be a hard ass on them. It just does not work like that. And I think that's exactly what he's dealing with. In addition to, did you see the story that came out by KSR? They called it an investigative piece, but did you see this about the JMI deal and Pope's issues on the recruiting trail?
I just know that the JMI deal is a mess for them. I do know that. And it feels like they're going to be stuck so far in the muck from NIL standpoint because of JMI, and they can't get out from underneath it. It's just another contract that Mitch Barnhart screwed up.
Yeah, so JMI is the company that owns the media rights to all of UK stuff. So they would do their broadcast deals and things like that. But they also signed a 25-year deal with JMI that includes an NIL component. So JMI basically gets to sign off on all of the players' NIL deals. It's making contracts nebulous. It's forcing recruits to sign away rights that other schools aren't asking them to because JMI wants them to do their deals through JMI partners. And to if they're going to use UK's logos and UK's brand markings, it has to be approved through JMI, which you can understand a little bit that you want to protect the brand, but from a recruiting standpoint, if other schools aren't forcing recruits to do these types of things, it's going to hinder you from a recruiting standpoint. And supposedly, based on this report by KSR, Kentucky Sports Radio, that's exactly what's happening. They have the NIL deal that's hurting them from a recruiting standpoint. They haven't landed a 2026 recruit yet, which we just passed the signing period for. And supposedly, they also had quotes in there from unnamed sources that have been involved in high leverage recruitments of late that involved Kentucky. And they're saying Mark Pope is overly emotional during these negotiations. He doesn't like that players and their agents are coming back and asking for more money. He's like, we're Kentucky. We don't get in bidding wars, which, okay, fair enough, but that's not the way of the world right now. And if you're willing to miss out on recruits, so be it. But then you have to be able to make do with what you get, right? And that's, I think, what we're seeing a little bit with Mark Pope right now. Assuming all of this is true, there's also word out there that there's a lot of players and agents doing negative recruiting against him for various reasons. So, I mean, it was a damning article that was published on Kentucky Sports Radio, and it's led to a lot of Kentucky fans already calling for Mark Pope to be fired, and they want to move on from him. Do you think this is entirely too early for the UK fan base to be at this point?
I do, because is the next coach going to be able to handle the JMI deal too? I mean, look, who's JMI in this? Look, you're Learfield, right? Am I right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And they're out to make a profit. But this feels like, especially with the NIL component tied to it, that they're always going to look out for themselves and not for the programs. And understandably so, they're a business. I don't know how they tied the two together and why they tied the two together. Was it out of laziness of let's just do it as all one big melded partnership and wash our hands of it because I don't want to deal with this?
I can see two things happening. I can see one, it seems like a sweetheart deal for Mitch Barnhart's buddies. I'm guessing is Mitch Barnhart has friends there.
Yes.
And maybe even he has a soft landing spot with them or something after the fact. I don't know. But it seems like there's some type of connection there, which is why Mitch Barnhart agreed to this. And then I think there's also the sort of reasoning for why you would do a deal like this is, I imagine there's all types of yahoos that see the Kentucky brand and, I'm from Atlanta. My buddy just got recruited by Kentucky. I'm going to pay him $500 so we can do a video and I can put Kentucky in that type of things going on probably with local businesses and things like that, where they're like, we need to protect the Kentucky brand from just being put on any advertisement for any amount of money. I get some of that, but it feels like there are easier ways to do that than signing yourself to a super restrictive NIL deal that completely screws you going forward.
Well, And listen, there are a lot of things Mitch Barnhart's done well. I mean, he's done for the non-revenue sports a lot of great things. I mean, the volleyball program has a chance to win a national championship. Baseball's gone to the College World Series for the first time ever. Nobody cares about it. I do. When they went to the College World Series, I was so bummed I couldn't go. It's a bucket list thing, A, and B, the first time Kentucky's ever gone to the College World Series, I would have loved to have gone. But when it comes to the two major sports in NIL, I don't think he's ever understood NIL. I really don't. I don't think he's embraced it whatsoever. And that's fine. Listen, I don't expect every AD that was in their job when all this landscape just washed over them to go, yeah, I'm really good with it. But if you don't, then get the hell out. That's fine. You can literally say, I don't want to deal with NIL. I don't care about NIL. I don't want to learn how to embrace NIL. I don't want to learn how to make NIL work. Okay, that's fine. I fully get that, man. If I was probably in that position at that age with probably what I've got in the bank at that point, I'd probably say the same thing. I go, yeah, I don't want to play this game. You guys can bring somebody who wants to play this game, can understand how to play this game. But he didn't know how to play the game, and he's made it worse. A 25-year contract with this company.
And Skinny, the thing about it is it seems like what you just laid out is exactly what's also happening, because rumor is he's done at the end of this year.
Yes.
Like, he's going to retire and take on an advisory role at the university. So
for $855,000.
Right. So he signs this contract with JMI right on his way out and screws everybody else going forward. I mean, just what a disaster seemingly for Kentucky. Now, my guess is it's so important to the state. It's so important to so many people in power positions. My guess is they figure out some way to fix this going forward at some point, but it seems like at least for now, it's a major roadblock that they're going to have to work their way around. And again, when it comes to recruiting and unnamed sources and what people are saying about what's going on in recruitments, you're never getting the full story. So there could be other stuff going on here, and maybe the recruiting's not even as bad as people think. Maybe they're going to get one of the top guys that are still out there in the 2026 class that they've been saving their money for and waiting on. And if they land one of those guys, then a lot of this will be forgiven. But right now it doesn't look good. And I also think from a transfer portal standpoint, it feels very much like you have a team of mercenaries that wanted a paycheck that didn't care at all about what you were trying to do. So maybe there will have to be a recalibration of, we can go out and get a couple high paid guys, but maybe we don't want the highest paid at each position. Maybe we want a guy who understands his role a little bit better, or a guy who understands, hey, my way to get paid is actually to go be the best rebounder in the country or something, and not to enhance my NBA draft stock by making threes or scoring, or I don't know what exactly the chemistry needs to be to get the right roster together, but it feels like whatever he did in this transfer portal, it wasn't it.
No, it really wasn't. Now, again, he's doesn't have arguably the best player he got out of the portal. Jaden Quaintance has been hurt, and that has factored. I mean, he's a lottery pick and probably higher if he shows something if he comes back.
But they also recruited him in the spring knowing he had just torn an ACL.
Understood. But yeah, and so I'll give a little bit of a pass there. But overall, to your point, you're dead right. And you want to make things worse, lose at home or lose to Indiana this weekend with the Wilkerson kid going off for 35 points. He had 44 against Penn State earlier this week because they were in on him and he chose Indiana over them. And boy, what a slap in the face that would be to watch a guy put 35 in your bean and really give you another devastating loss in the non-conference.
You know what really sucks about all of this? Whether we're talking about Cincinnati fans right now or Kentucky fans, you know what really sucks about it? Is the only solution anyone gives for any of this now. When things are going bad and your program looks like a disaster and it looks like everyone in charge is at fault for putting it that way, the only thing they say is, you fans have to give us more money so we can compete.
Yeah,
we just can't compete if you don't give us more money for NIL and resources and all that. I mean, they keep saying sports is now a big business. Well, what hell kind of business model is this where you just keep screwing your customer over and over and over and over again? It makes no sense to me.
Did you see the Troy Aikman story this week?
I did not, no.
So he gave apparently, a check directly to UCLA or directly to a player who basically just crapped out and left after a year. And he said, that's it, I'm done with it. I'm not doing that again. I did it one time. It blew up in my face. I'm not doing it again. Now, he doesn't have total deep pockets. But he's got deep enough pockets, right? And he's an alum, and he wanted to try to help the program. And he said, and I just wonder at what point I think we're going to get to that point where it's like, why am I giving to this collab? What's it done for me other than drain my pocket to pay these spoiled ass kids? To hell with that. I'm good. You guys try to make it work on your own. Somebody else make it work.
Yeah, there's quite literally no payoff for you. The only payoff you ever get is eventually the manhood measuring contest where your school gets to a Final Four, wins a championship, and you get to be like, I contributed that in some way, I guess. And that fires people with money up. I don't know. But like, I have no idea why donors continue to just blindly support this racket that makes absolutely no sense, especially now that the schools are paying them.
Right. No, I'm with you. I don't get it either.
All right, let's wrap it up with my guys from Highland Heights. NKU lost at Purdue-Fort Wayne 79-77 after being up by 15 at halftime on Saturday on the road. They came back, they beat a non-Division I impression 92-53. But this Purdue-Fort Wayne game, Skinny, they were on a 6-game winning streak. They had won the game at Central Michigan. They had won 5 in a row at home. And then you run into this road game where it felt like everything was going right. And it's like, wow, how good is this NKU team potentially in conference this year? And then for them to give up a 20-0 run like that to start the second half, I guess we saw a little bit of the reservations Darren Horn was having about the defense through that winning streak.
Yeah, so I was responsible for putting up the stories from the local teams on Saturday. During the day, there's a handful of basketball games that needed to go up, and NK was one of them. And so I just casually checked my phone, the score right around halftime, and I saw the 15-point lead. I'm like, oh, wow, man, they're playing really well. This would be a really nice win to get here, too. I looked at my phone, 30 minutes later, and I looked, and I went, they're down? What in the heck just happened here? And then they did fight back towards the end and, fell a point short. So I think the disappointment of the loss – but at the same time, you lost by 1 on the road, giving up that run. That happens.
That's a great way to put it. It didn't worry me at all about NKU and their standing in the Horizon League or anything like that. But it was a little bit of a wake-up call for me where I'm sitting there, they're cruising at halftime, and I'm thinking, man, this team might be really, really good. And Darren's been saying after almost every game, when we interview him after the game, he's been saying, our defense has to get better, man. We think we can win with offense right now because we're scoring it. And we're not doing the things we need to do to be good consistently defensively. And he was so right. It's like once they went on a drought offensively and things tightened up a little bit for them, it's like they lost all the toughness and discipline on defense. They just couldn't get stops for about 10 straight minutes there. And obviously, I think that's the sign of a team that hasn't been together long enough yet. It's part of this transfer portal era probably that you can kind of crumble like that for a 10-minute stretch. But I also think, to your point, it's like it's a game on the road that if you don't kick the ball out of bounds like 3 times on breakaways in the second half, you still end up winning. So I guess you just move on and you try to learn from it. Yeah.
What city is Brescia in? Are they in Owensboro?
I was going to say Owensboro. So the fact that you said that, I think so also. It is. It's Owensboro. Yeah.
Okay. The Brescia Bearcats.
Brescia Bearcats, NAIA. All right. Reds baseball, Skinny. Believe it or not, we're talking some Reds. The whole Kyle Schwarber thing was a talking point in the city. What?
It was a joke.
It was a talking point in the city for at least the last 2 months, but more seriously for like the last couple weeks where there started to be national reporters were putting out rumors that the Reds were seriously involved. He ends up re-signing with the Phillies for 5 years, $150 million. Now, it's disappointing for Reds fans to not get what seemed like the missing piece to their lineup, a big-time slugger, a legitimate bat, and a local guy. Let me ask you this part of it, though. He's 32 years old. He just got paid 5 years, $150 million. Would it have really been prudent for the Reds to give him a contract like that?
They were never going to give him a contract like that. And I know everybody's now broken it down. Well, it was only $5 million more a year they had to give up. They were willing to spend $130 million. Were they really?
That's what I would like to know.
Were they really? It's cute to say, knowing that you weren't going to get to the $150 million number. So you just say, we were going to get to $130 million. We couldn't. Were you really? So I'll tell you what. So if that's the case, big mouth, how about you take the $130 million you're going to use on him and go find another player?
Well,
if you were willing to do it, but it was the whole, well, he'll sell tickets because he's a local guy. No, he might sell tickets because he hits bombs and they're winning. The faction from Middletown's not going to go, hey, Kyle's playing tonight. Let's all go down in a caravan. No, it doesn't work that way, man. Idiots.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you believe that's actually what was going on with the Reds? Do you think they were making a serious run at him and under the idea that, we'll sell tickets if we do this? Or do you think that's what national reporters were saying because they were getting bad info?
No, I think it's a way for the Reds to probably tell national reporters to save face. Like, we were in on him up to a certain point. No, you weren't. You never were going to go to the number that you knew it was going to go to. And again, if you were willing to do that for him, use it on somebody else then. And don't tell me it's because, he was local and blah. No, if you're getting a legitimate power bat that's going to help you win, he's going to hit you 40 or 50 bombs, That might bring people out as much as Kyle Schwarber hitting 40 or 50 bombs. Him being from Middletown isn't drawing a single solitary soul other than maybe some members of the Schwarber family on occasion.
Yes, and that's where it doesn't make sense to me.
You're going to get comp tickets anyway.
If you had this money to spend, then the offseason's fine. Like, you can still go spend that money on someone else. Maybe someone who doesn't even cost as much. Maybe someone who's younger. Maybe someone who does more than just hit a home run or strike. I don't know. I would have liked to have Kyle Schwarber. It would have been fun to have him in the middle of the lineup. I do worry about giving a 32-year-old who I know he's been very durable the last 4 years. He played 162 games last season. But
he just hits.
But he's a big boy and he's 32 years old too. Like, there's no guarantee that he doesn't pull an oblique next year and it's a injury, a nagging thing for the next 2 or 3 seasons. I mean, we've seen it before with guys of that age.
Watching all the newscasts of the last few days after that happened, like, well, what a disappointment. They just came up short. They were never going to get him. They were never serious about it. Don't kid yourselves, people. It's really easy to know that the Phillies number was going to 150 mil. You were never going to go there. And you go, we're going to pay him 130 mil. We'll put that number. I call Jeff Passan and tell him we were going to give him 130 mil. And if you're Jeff Passan, you're going to report it, and that's fine. And I'm not pissing on him. He's very good at what he does. But then that number becomes like, God, like the Reds were really going to be serious about this up to a certain. No, they weren't, because they knew they couldn't get to the number they were going to have to. And so you just throw out an arbitrary, we were going to go to 130 mil. No, you weren't. Because if you were, you would use that money on somebody else.
It seems to me like the ownership group might be putting that narrative out there, but Nick Kral's like on the other side of it, because Nick Kral seems like he's been more of like I never said we had that money. I've been saying we had to get super creative to try to figure out how to get a guy. Like, he's been acting like they're broke and he has no money to work with the whole time. So it seems like he wants the truth out there more so, to be like, look, they're not giving me any resources to work with here this offseason to go out and get a big bat.
Yeah, no, I mean,
and meanwhile, you're hearing these other rumors.
Yeah, old man and his greasy-haired kid, I mean, they're so full of crap, they don't even know what day it is half the time.
Yeah, I mean, what's worse, the disappointment of them not getting Kyle Schwarber, or the disappointment of if they would have gotten him and then him either getting hurt or not performing up to expectation inevitably?
You know what you've just done there? You've encapsulated every Cincinnati sports fan thinking the worst before the worst ever happens.
Of course. I mean, that's exactly what you have to think of if you're a Reds fan. It's like, oh, this will be Griffey all over again if they do get him. He'll never live up to the expectation. That
cracks me up because it's so true.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the reality of how it works around here. And like, I mean, you'd love to act like it's not that way or everyone's too negative, but what do we have to go on, Skinny? We just watched the Bengals this weekend. I mean, it's just the way it works around here. The worst thing, in my opinion, for this organization was them getting into the playoffs as a wild card team last year.
I don't think so. I think that.
See, I think because now I think they're way more content to be like, well, this team is good enough if we just get incrementally better and we're a playoff team.
Well, I'm not sure they've gotten incrementally better as we sit here today.
Right, but they'll just tell you the guys they already have can do that. They don't need to go get another piece because they were already a playoff team last year. They just need those young cornerstones to get a little bit better. That's what they're going to say. That's
probably right. I'll let the rest of the offseason play out, but I don't feel real good about it. And again, if you were willing to spend $130 million on Kyle Schwarber, then that sounds to me like you had a $130 million pot you want to play with. Let's play with the $130 million pot and see what we get.
That would be nice. I just don't have much faith that that's going to happen. All right, let's switch gears here. Ask Skinny anything. We got a couple of them.
Yep.
Who does Skinny think is going to get the Michigan job?
It's a great question. I know Kalen DeBoer's name has come up, and if I'm him, that might be a decent landing place.
He needs to get out of Alabama.
I agree. Yeah, I would agree with that, especially unless they make some kind of crazy run in the college football playoff, and I just don't foresee that taking place, to be honest with you.
I think he can be a good coach, but being the guy after Saban was never going to be a soft landing spot for anyone.
No, it's impossible.
And it's already gotten off to the wrong start there. The fan base is out on it. He just needs to move on. It's too toxic of a situation going forward.
Can I give you an interesting name? Because
yes.
He's been the head coach at his recent position probably long enough.
Zach Taylor?
Lane Kiffin. Maybe Lane Kiffin. Lane's only been at LSU for a few weeks. That's probably long enough, isn't it?
You have to imagine he had his agent checking out the buyout and the contract and how long it all takes before it goes into effect officially and everything. I'm guarantee you he wanted to be involved. If nothing else, he wanted his name involved.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting one because I honestly don't know. It's just God, what a weird situation. How that story unfolded yesterday. And by the way, for those who may not know, I mentioned this at the top of the podcast. Former UC assistant Coleraine High School coach Kerry Combs just got hired like 3 or 4 days ago as their special teams coach.
Yeah. So, I mean, what's he do? Just come back home, or did he even go up there yet? Like,
if he signed a contract, what a hell of a deal to basically get your buyout. Or maybe the new coach keeps him on as special teams coordinator too.
Well, who's the interim coach? Biff or something like that? A guy named Biff?
Biff Poggi, believe it or not, I can't remember. He coached at it's actually where Kelsey Conway went to high school. He coached Stephon Diggs, if I'm not mistaken, at Our Lady of Good Counsel in Maryland. And they played in my friend Tom Gamble's event in the Skyline Chili Crosstown showdown one year.
I covered that year when Stephon Diggs played in it, right?
Yeah. And Biff was the coach.
Yeah, okay. I did not realize Biff was the coach. Maybe he'll become the full-time coach and he'll keep carry on. Maybe he'll just be the old guys running the ship there. Weird deal over there. I was asked if you thought that Michigan could be convinced or to take a look at a coach with AFC championship under his belt, a built-in defensive coordinator come with them that's already been in the college football playoff. Maybe a little Zach Taylor, Al Golden combo action.
I would tell you this. I don't think Zach is built for the college game. I think he's NFL all the way. Like, he just wants to coach ball, not deal with any of that other stuff. And I get a lot of those guys in that regard. I mean, let's not forget we've seen college head coaches take coordinator jobs in the NFL because they don't want to deal with that stuff.
Yeah, I don't blame them. I didn't blame them before the NIL stuff got here. I definitely wouldn't blame them now.
The interesting one to me, though, because this could be a huge domino. I mean, the Michigan domino is going to be a huge one, right? I mean, it's going to bleed its way backwards. Mark Stoops. No, is the whole potential. I don't think he does it because I think he's more of a college guy. But the Giants' interest in Marcus Freeman.
Oh yeah. If Notre Dame opens up, it's already been a crazy cycle.
Yep.
I mean, that would really make things. Now, if that happens, Joey Freshwater will be back on the market.
Yes, he will.
He might use his alter ego, but Joey Freshwater will be involved in the Notre Dame job.
Yes, he will. That's for sure.
All right. What was Skinny's go-to childhood snack?
Like, define childhood.
No, maybe grade school. What comes to mind if I say that? What do you mean? Like, you're plopping on the couch, you're watching TV after school. What's the move?
I'm not exactly like Steve Stunning from a physical shape standpoint. I don't think I'm obese by any stretch of the imagination. But back in high school, I was skinny, like rail. Like, I think we did a body fat test once in PE2, and I had like 3.6%, but like I had none. And for whatever reason, my mother bought this Stouffer's, like, they weren't giant ones. They were like single serving frozen lasagnas. And I swear to God, for about a month straight, I think I had one of those as like a 10 o'clock at night snack.
You're just trying to bulk up or what?
No, they just were so damn good. Like, every night I go, oh, Mom's got some more down in the freezer. And literally, like, to Mom, you need to get some more. And I would go through those like hotcakes. It was crazy.
What age was this you're saying?
Probably freshman, sophomore, high school year.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right. I was also a big pudding cup guy.
Like snack pack?
Yeah, but they were actually in cans back then. They weren't in the kind of similar snack packs.
Like metal cans?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. Those were pretty damn good, man.
I'm not eating my pudding out of a can. I like my microplastics in my pudding, please.
And the funny thing is, I don't know if I've had pudding in the last decade.
I don't think I have either. I never really liked pudding to begin with, but yeah, no one has pudding anymore. I never see it.
Actually, I think the last time I had pudding, I actually made it from just a mix, and one where you have to put it in the bowls and then put it in the fridge to let it harden. I think it's the last time I had pudding, and I love pudding.
Well, there you go. Well, shout out to Mrs. Skinner. Get on the horn with some pudding, please.
Yeah.
We'll wrap it up with this.
What was yours? Did you have one?
Bagel Bites, probably. Bagel Bites pizza roll.
So Bagel Bites weren't a thing then, but I still make these today. My dad used to make. He made this, and this is kind of a go-to snackish, occasionally dinner thing for me. Is you get a paper or a microwavable plate, put Triscuits, then like 2 individual pepperoni slices on each. Well, you can do it on a microwavable plate, or you can bake them. Either way, they're good. Baked, they taste a little bit differently. And then mozzarella cheese, the crumble all around it. It's like a mini pizza, but it's on a Triscuit. And man, to this day, those are still good. I remember when my dad first made those.
Okay. I can deal with that. Maybe a little pizza sauce on the side for some dipping action. Who knows?
I'm not a dipping guy, but yes, that would. Yeah,
yeah,
there you go.
On a little moisture in there. Rank these Cincinnati sporting venues by media setup. Paycor Stadium, Great American Ballpark, TQL Stadium, Heritage Bank Center, Nippert Stadium, Fifth Third Arena, and Cintas Center.
I haven't covered a game at TQL, so we'll have to eliminate them from.
Yeah, I haven't either. I've never been inside of it.
I've been in a suite there that a friend of mine had, and the suite level was awesome. It was awesome. The experience was awesome. I'm not a soccer fan by any stretch, but I'd love to probably go again, not just the suite, just go again. I thought the atmosphere was a lot of fun and all that stuff. I'm just not a big soccer guy. I think Paycor setup's good. I mean, I have no problem with it. I have a great seat. It's comfortable. Getting down to the locker room can be a little dicey at times, but they've kind of fixed that issue now, and so you can still get down there in plenty of time. Great American Ballpark, I think, is a good setup. Always has been. Cintas, I haven't covered a game since they moved everything off the floor. So, do you still have floor access?
No.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Up at the top of the first level.
Joe and Byron do it from like in a suite, don't they?
They're right next to a suite. They're same as me. They're kind of like in one of those bunkers at the top level.
I did a high school game, one of the like regional semifinal final games there a few years ago. Moeller was playing maybe Centerville, and they gave us that Xavier place. In fact, Byron did the game with me, believe it or not. And so we did it from there. And I kept thinking it was a fine venue, but it just felt odd and awkward where you were.
Yeah. Xavier used to be kind of the tops of the list when it came to media, but as with everything, the money and selling courtside seats has kind of like screwed that up. We're definitely second-class citizens there, that's for sure.
Yeah, the last UC game I covered, believe it or not, was the Crosstown Shootout the year that Trayvon Blewett went off for a gazillion points. And so I get it, man. There's a lot of media for that event, but that wasn't an ideal setup either. Were you there? I'm assuming you were.
At Fifth Third?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were like in the end zone, off to a corner in the end zone. It was just a weird.
That's how the media setup is there. Yeah, it's all off to the side. It's like past the student section, but over on the side of them. Yeah, so you kind of have a weird angle. I mean, that building just has bad angles to begin with. And where they stuff the media is. Yeah, it does. But I mean, your access to the media room's quick. I think that's always an important thing too. That you don't have to walk a quadrillion miles to that. What was the other? So we've gotten 4. What was the other one? Yeah, Heritage Bank is terrible. I mean, there's nothing to it really.
Yeah, the last game I covered there was when Kentucky used to play a neutral site game, and all I can remember was I should have brought like a blanket because they put literally like wood over the ice, and they did have us courtside at nice little fold-out tables. I mean, it was rinky-dink, but I just remember the whole time my feet were so freaking cold. It's like, you think this little plywood's going to save people's feet, you idiots?
That's how it is when
that might have been the last time they actually played a game there.
When NKU plays IU Indy, they play them out at the fairgrounds, which is a little hockey rink, semi-pro hockey rink, and that's how it always is. It's like when I'm calling the game and there's 20 people in there aside from us and the teams, it's like my feet and ankles are just freezing on top of the ice.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm not traveling for the last few Bengals games, and so I didn't go to Buffalo. And those that did, man, I just know every time I've gone to Buffalo, it's just been an unmitigated disaster. It's always ice cold. We saw the snow coming down. You park 9 miles away from the media entrance. And it's always hard to find it. You have to go. It's weird. You have to go outside and around and through the crowd to get to the post-game interview rooms. It's goofy there. And I'm just telling you, I remember that playoff game in 2022, I guess it was, when they went up there and won in the snow. Paul Daner Jr., Jay Morrison, and I rode together from the same hotel. And they were both working for The Athletic at the time. And they said, our athletic writer gave us a kind of a back road to get in. I'm like, oh, cool. I mean, probably the worst thing of all is trying to get in this damn stadium to park. And I had a live TV hit at like 11. And we left the hotel at like 9. And I keep looking at my phone like, gosh, we're going to be in there by 9:45. This is awesome. She's right. A half mile from the stadium, dude, we came to a dead stop. We finally got into the lot. I saw where our live hit was, like way over. I had to get out and sprint to it just to make the 11 o'clock hit. That's how long it took to go like a half a mile, an hour and 15 minutes. It's just
yes, Chris Frankel.
Exactly. And I'm running in the cold doing that. I mean, it's awful. So I'm very fortunate that I didn't make that trip and could cover it from home.
Yeah. And then Nippert is I think Nippert's fine. The only
I like
It's a
Nipper.
nice press box. The only problem with UC covering either spot at UC is there's usually a bad parking spot that's far away from where you have to walk a long ways usually.
Yeah, I did. Because I did PA. When I did PA there, I knew where I was going, and I kept thinking, gosh, this feels like it's going to be a long walk. And it was. I mean, it's okay. I think they actually had a shuttle if you waited for it. I'm like, I'm not waiting for any shuttle. I'm a man. It was a nice September day. I can go walk. But yeah, I like the press box. I love that stadium. I think that stadium to me is awesome.
Great stadium, and it's usually they do a good job. Their media people are awesome, and good press box. But it does suck to walk there. So I don't know. For ranking them, is there a favorite that you have?
I'll go Paycor because they give us
probably Paycor.
It's a short walk from where we park to get in. It's
the most comfortable, I'd say.
Maybe it's just so familiar to me that I've got it down to such a routine that it is literally a routine.
No, I would agree with that. I think it's the most comfortable. They have great media people there.
Great American's close. Great American's good.
Yeah, I've actually, believe it or not, I've never covered a game at Great American.
Yeah,
I've never done any red stuff.
Yeah, Great American's good. I like their setup. The basketball ones to me have gotten wonky. Like, I haven't covered a game at UK in a while, but the last time I did, I covered it. They've got the media section that kind of overhangs the top deck. Yeah. It wasn't awful. I mean, it was way up there. It was different. And I get it, man. You've sold courtside seats for revenue. I mean, I don't know at what point these people start running out of revenue streams, but they keep finding little ways to do it. Oh yeah, I know. And beg fans for money. That's the, I guess, is that the last bastion of revenue gaining is begging your fans to come through for you?
Yes. If you want us to have paint on our walls, you got to give us more money. We just can't paint walls without you guys giving us money.
At what point do we have it's time for the University of Kentucky NIL Marathon on the air live telethon rather?
I prefer this free throw is brought to you by Fred Samples in section 113.
Thank you for your $200 donation.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting there. Like, it's going to be like a live stream. Like on YouTube, you watch the streamers. They read out, oh, thanks, Bill, for sending me $5. Yeah, I think Joe Burrow will start Sunday. It's going to be like that during the game. The PA guy's going to be like, hey, Justin, thank you from section 212. Happy birthday to Jen. That's another $50 donation for the Musketeers.
Well, you're right. I mean, we're going to get there. You're right. We are going to get there.
It's coming. Just like the Bearcats. It's coming.
It's coming. We're going to be good. We proved it tonight by losing. Sure. All right, for Rick Boring, I'm Richard Skinner. Thanks for being with us. It's been the Skinny Podcast, the weekly poetry edition, presented by Blake the Attorney Maislin.